Morning, mates. Blind Prime here for More Than Meets the Eyes with my co-host Cream the cat, who's sleeping over here in the corner, being a big orange lug. Uh, Funny enough, today he woke me up by biting the inside of my nose. It was not a pleasant experience, not at all. But he wanted me to wake up and feed him. When you don't feed the orange cat, he's going to get his food one way or the other, right? So. Learned my lesson. I went ahead and fed him. No more biting. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Alpha Trion. And I have him here with his siblings. All of the primes that I have received so far. I know there's a few more that just came out, like I don't have Micronus, I don't have Onyx. I actually had to cancel Onyx in order to finish Devastator. So it was a choice between Onyx or Mixmaster, and well, Mixmaster won out. I only had the budget to get one or the other. And I'm glad I got the Mixmaster because Devastator's just too cool for school. So, we'll be getting Onyx and Micronus later on this year at some point, so no worries on that. I will be getting them because I do want to cover all of the 13 primes on this channel. I've done a good job of doing it so far. It's been a bit expensive, but these guys are cool. I like the 13 primes, and I'm ecstatic to bring you another one. This is a team that I've been wanting to collect for many years, and I'm happy that we finally get the opportunity to do so, and not like Titan's Return, where they gave you headmasters of the 13 primes. That was cheating. You copped out on that one. I'm glad that they didn't cop out on this one, and they're actually giving us full figures for the 13 primes. Makes me very happy as a collector. So I've got Star Convoy here at the rear because he's the biggest. And then on the sides, I've got the two deluxes, Alchemist and Solus. And then in the interior, I've got the two Voyagers, that being Alpha Trion and Prima. And then in the very center, I've got the single leader class I have so far, which is Megatronus. Very excited about the other leader classes that they will be giving us later on. This is pretty cool. Okay, this is 6. We are almost halfway done with the 13 primes. And definitely, when I manage to get Onyx or Micronus, we will have achieved the halfway marker. So that is really neat. So let's go ahead and put a few of these guys off to the side so I can actually talk about them in depth and do some fun size comparisons without my stage being overly crowded. Good grief, you're a large bot, Star Convoy. Oh my god. He can't fit on my table on that side. I'm going to have to put him on the Cream sleeping side of the table. Cream, don't mess with this. Okay? No, don't push it off the table. I know, it's interrupting your sleeping zone, but no, don't be rude. Pushing my Transformers off the table. Alright, let's pull these guys back, and missing one. Ah, here he is. Alright, so we're going to set... We'll use Megatronus first, so we're going to set Alchemist and Solus. Solus will go by the Bumblebee, and then we've got Prima. He can go right there. Nice. Now, let's compare Voyager class to Leader class, right? So we've got the Voyager class Alpha Trion here, and I'm pushing him to the very back of Megatronus, and the nose of Alpha Trion goes to just in front of the siege port on the front tread of Megatronus. Width-wise, let's take a look. Oh crap. Oh, good. I didn't accidentally untransform you. I just grabbed something connected to your side. So let's flip them over. Take a look. Which one is the wider one? So definitely Megatronus wins on the width on all occasions because he's a big rectangle guy. But Alpha Trion is a bit wider at the rear than Megatronus, but not by much. I'd say like by a Lego stud. And then the front, he's definitely, because Alpha Trion tapers down. Weight-wise, the Megatronus has got it on Alpha Trion. Megatronus definitely wins the weight contest. He's the bigger boy. So let's going to set Megatronus off to the side here. There you go, Mr. Megatronus. And now we've got Alpha Trion and Alchemist, the two A's, and our two A-bots. Alchemist Prime, his nose for his vehicle mode goes to just just where remember that piece that we talked about in the transformation video where that folds over and then has the two little pieces on either side that snug into place behind the knee pads? Yeah, Alchemist Prime goes to the very end of that setup. So the entire front of the nose for Alpha Trion is longer than Alchemist. Width-wise, Alpha Trion wins on the width conditions, that's for sure. And weight-wise, Alpha Trion is the weightier guy. By a good margin, too. You know, Alchemist feels light compared to Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion is he's a heavy boy. Next Voyager class, we've got Prima. Now let's take a look at Prima compared to Alpha Trion. We're going to put Prima's rear connected to Alpha Trion's rear. Prima goes the same length as Alchemist. Just a little longer than Alchemist, but very similar length to Alchemist. Weight-wise, Alpha Trion wins at the weight, in the weight competition against Prima, but not by much. Alpha Trion feels like he weighs maybe a smidge more than Prima. They're very similar in weights. That's a good thing because they're both Voyagers. Width-wise, Alpha Trion wins, but height-wise, actually, no, Alpha Trion wins again because the rear of him is really tall, but not much more of him is. So he's very close to the height for Prima. Setting Prima back down, let's take a look at Solus, because Solus is one of those unique Transformers. All right, so here's Solus Prime, and Solus Prime stretches almost to the nose of, almost to the nose of Alpha Trion. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. A little longer than Prima, but not by much. Weight-wise, yeah, Alpha Trion wins. I don't even just Solus Prime is the lightest Prime so far released, and Alpha Trion definitely wins on all that stuff. Now, finally, the best comparison, in my opinion, is my favorite Prime so far, Star Convoy. I just like this one. So we're gonna park him over here, and we can, we can basically remove the gun from the top of this guy, and then we can just set Alpha Trion on top of Star Convoy. And this is pretty cool. I like that it's just he now has a resting zone, and it fits him very well too. Surprisingly well, even to the point where the nose rests between the two front guns for Star Convoy. That's nice. And I'm wondering, like, how many more primes can we just kind of stack on top of Star Convoy? And it seems this big flat area at the front of Star Convoy is a great spot to land your Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion can just kind of hang out here in this zone. And that is amazing. I love that. I really, really do. This is nice. I'm not even going to compare the weights because Star Convoy wins. I'm not going to compare the lengths because Star Convoy wins. Width-wise, Star Convoy wins. He's just the bigger guy. Now, if we put the Voyager class Alpha Trion and we flush it with the rear of Star Convoy here, the very in front of the nose will go to this. Actually, that's a joint right there. That goes down. And yeah, that's the joint. So when you're transforming Star Convoy, there's a part of the transformation where you take a panel off his leg and it folds forwards to cover up his thighs. And Voyager class Alpha Trion goes right to that hinge for that side panel from the rear. So it doesn't cover that side panel, but goes right up to it. That is wild. So let's go ahead and set Star Convoy back down. We're just going to drive him straight at Cream. Cream, you can't... What are you doing? Rolling around on the table? Taking up more space? God, I've never had a cat that takes up so much space. He's like a cubic meter of space he needs when he sleeps. So, let's talk in depth about Voyager-class Alpha Trion now that we've compared him to his siblings. So first and foremost, we'll talk about the front of him. He's got this really, really neat thing going on here at the front where I feel two tapered in spots, like they're sunk in a bit, and I'm wondering if those are lights. Like those two could just be two very big floodlights at the very nose of the plane, and that would be really neat. The textures on the sides, how they managed to take those textures they were using for robot mode and apply them to this in a very nice way, because those lines all line up now to make this guy seem more aerodynamic. So the lines on the top of the feet kind of make your fingers flow into this gap caused by these little folded over bits, little folded over winglet bits on either side, right in front of those knee pads, and there's a gap there. And so this is like a nice little air intake. You can kind of feel how the air goes into that area and cools the inner workings of Alpha Trion down if he has air. I mean, if he's in space, it doesn't matter. But still, that's a cool little bit. Those gaps are important, and those gaps are nice. I like them. I like the little rounded textures on either side that have that little. They have a little bulbous thing sticking out, and that matches the little bulbous thing sticking out of his shoulder pad at the rear. So I like how that matches. How you got a sunken in kind of round dome thing, and then at the rear of him, that round dome thing is popped out. That's a really cool little feature. We're moving on here to the sides. We've got these, after his blocky kind of nose cone area, we come around here to the side of the vehicle where we get rounded for his engines. And of course, his arms make up the engines, and that's really nice how they let that apply, where these are kind of rounded and they give you the impression of big thrusters. And I like that. I like that use of the arms right there. Little winglets underneath on either side make him really feel like a sci-fi explorer vehicle. Like he's made to go fast and look around, and that's the impression you get from this. Now the center bit of him, because we're going to move around here, not talk about the rear yet, but the center bit has this big windshield thing that has a siege port in it. And then we can actually open that up in vehicle mode. So if you had some MicroMasters, you may be able to slip one in there and then close the windshield down, which is really neat. But that's there so that you can put this his little quill. His quill, that's the word. His quill stores in there. I haven't found another place to put the quill, but that's really actually, does that go all the way through? If that port goes all the way through, we may be able to get something fun. So let's because I like doing it, we're going to experiment. So does that port go all? No, it does not. Darn it! If that port on the windshield went all the way through, I could just kind of poke the quill through. But I haven't found a place that the quill can actually be stored properly. So I just kind of set it in there and close the flap. Now, I like the way this feels. I like the smooth etchings here and the line work that goes all the way around it. It feels like a very sci-fi-esque canopy for a spaceship. And we get some really nice textures on the top of the spaceship. It feels, you can get little creases in there and bends in the steel or Cybertronian metal, whatever it's made out of. Transformium, if you want to use that fourth Bayverse movie. Good creative name right there, like unobtainium. Good job. Bet you took a doctorate to come up with that name. So we got this little like arrowhead thing that's kind of etched into the top of the vehicle. It all comes together quite nicely. And my favorite part is going on here at the rear. Behind the canopy, we got the three little spikes, or 1, 2, 3, 4 little spikes from his helmet, kind of sticking up out of the top, and it makes it into an array of antennae for this Explorer vehicle. And we come around here to the rear of it, where where we have the big old shoulder pads folded over. We get these engines. There feels like line work to be like engines there. So there's vents inset into the shoulder for each of his shoulders to make them feel like engines. And then the rear, we've got this big old engine thing sticking out on either side. And then the center bit's just really nicely textured. And that's, of course, his chest area. But they managed to hide it very well, in my opinion. On the underside, there's no gappage. There's nothing. There's waffling on the underside of these little winglets that was part of his shield. But that's the only waffling I've come across on this figure in this mode. This is a really good mode, and I absolutely enjoy it. Siege port-wise, you got one on the windshield, and then you have two on the legs and close to the front. You've got one that the shield thing's attached to, and then you have one on either side of the arms. So 2, 4, 5, 6. 6 siege ports on this figure in this mode. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. I think it is a wonderful little guy. And you know what it reminds me of a lot? It reminds me of kind of a rounded down version of a Star Destroyer. We've got this nice nose cone thing, and it tapers out like that nice, the arrowhead look that the Star Destroyers from Star Wars have. It's that perfect arrowhead. Now, yeah, it's definitely different, but the shape is there. It's got the Star Destroyer shape, and I love it. Especially how these little winglets on the side continue that silhouette of a big arrowhead. They even went so far as to make it an arrowhead that's got edges to it. A serrated arrowhead. That's the word. Really nicely done. It's compact. It's solid. It is a good Transformer. Even dropping it like that, the book didn't fall out of the bottom. That is in there well. His accessories attach very well and are good. It's nice to have some accessories that are so well hidden in the figure. I don't mind it when I can put the accessories on the outside of my Transformer, but I absolutely love it when I can hide the accessories inside the Transformer. And that's why this vehicle mode is going to get an S ranking, because it's got a fun shape, it feels very sci-fi, it manages to hide all of the accessories very well, and it comes out to be something that it's kind of a brick, but it's a good brick. It's a good feeling brick. I really like Alpha Trion, the early days. That's what I'm going to nickname him, Alpha Trion, the early days. It's like the prequel to G1. But this is an excellent, excellent figure. I highly recommend it. Yeah, his transformation isn't the best in the world, but it's a really good one, and he is a solid figure without much of a backpack, with very solid legs and arms and joints. He is a good addition to your collection, in my opinion, and I hope that you can manage to find one of your own on sale or something like that. You know, don't break your budget getting one, but I hope that you can find a way to get one. I've been Blind Prime, and this thing's sleeping over here the entire time. The entire time. You've just been sleeping the entire time. Is Cream the cat. Who's a good cat? You're a good cat. Who's a good orange cat? You're a good orange cat. I'm going to shake your belly. Yeah. I like giving him belly rubs. And he likes getting belly rubs. All right. Until next Prime, thank you all so much for joining me today. Bye-bye for now.